are addressing how to take measurements on the female body. So the first thing we are going to do is measure out the shoulder. When measuring out the shoulder, you have to make sure it comes from the edge, that's this tip here, to the other tip, while crossing this shoulder. Now, try not to let it go down, try not to let it go too low. There is a particular bone here that we want to meet, and then we just need to go across to the other bone. So, this is our shoulder, and this shoulder gives us 15. But we're not talking about the measurement itself today, we're just talking about how to take those measurements on yourself. So the next thing we're going to do is adjust the sleeve. Now from that same bone that we did, just going to come and we're going to measure 4 different places here. The cap sleeve, which is just from here to here, the normal blouse sleeve, the 3/4 sleeve, and the full length. So the first one is the cap sleeve. For that, a cap sleeve is just from here like this. So this is 4.5, but you can't take a measurement with 1/2 inch. So you have to round it up to the nearest number. So cap sleeve is 5. And so our blouse sleeve or our short sleeve can be around 8 or 9 inches. I prefer 9. This is our elbow here. So it just sits somewhere before the elbow. And then the next one is the 3/4 sleeve. After the elbow, you come down to that wide part of the arm in this place. You know, our hand is wide and then it goes slim. So to that wide part, which can be either 15 or 16, I prefer 16. And so after this, we go down to the full sleeve, which is 32 inches. It can be any other number for you. And so we're not done with the sleeve. After measuring the length of it, we're now going to measure the breadth of it or round it. And so the first one is the cap sleeve. Go around. Make sure that there is a little space so that when she stretches her hand, it's not too tight. There's a little space, and so we have 14 inches. You can also see if it goes higher up. So you can see that the 14 inches is able to stay high up on it. So the next one as well, also a little space. And one thing to take note of is that from here to here, the difference is not usually more than 1 inch apart. So if you have 14 inches here, you can just use that as a cheat code and know that the next one is 13 and this next one is 12. Now when we come here, instead of measuring it to be so tight, you will notice that as I'm trying to pull it out, the sleeve cannot pass through because it's so tight. So you make sure that you make it a bit free. Now one trick I can do is to tighten my feet, tell them to tighten the feet this way, and then I just measure around it. And see, it still gives me the same 10 inches as well. So that's another trick. You know that there's no way the fist is going to pass through the outfit. It's going to pass through it. So that's another way to do that. So now let's move over to the full body measurements now. So the first thing we are going to take measurement of is the bust. The bust is very, very straightforward. Just go around the bust and make sure it's exactly, no extra space, nothing, not trying to make it tight. But people will be like, oh my god, is my bust really 38? Yes, your bust is really 38. Don't try to reduce it to 37. Don't try to say that you're thinner than this. Please make sure that the measurement is exactly that way. And then you just switch it around to make sure that you are able to be in the outfit. Okay? So once that is done, the next one is the under bust. Or, yeah, the under bust. Now for this one, you can make it as firm as possible, but also not too tight. Not too tight. Firm, but not tight. Now this one is 31 inches. It's very firm. And not too tight. Some people will try to expand it and say, oh, 30 inches. It's not going to fit well enough, and it's just going to make your belly protrude too much. So you don't need that. So 31 is okay. So the next one now is the lower waist. The lower waist of it. Okay? What I call the waist fitting. You know, like the waist fit of the jeans or the lower waist of your skirt. It's called the waist fitting. The lower waist. This is relevant for your gowns, for your blouses, if you're trying to do a corset. All these measurements are relevant. So also the same way, but this time the lower waist is not straight like this. It comes low, kind of. Comes low. So you make sure that it's below the belly button or where you call your fupa area. So just come and measure it. Also make sure that it's free enough to move. So after doing this, you measure the hip. Okay. Also, you're measuring the hip. Same thing, you need space, because at the end of the day, you're going to move up and down in your dress. You want the dress to be at least free enough, but not too tight. The fit of an outfit is not determined by how tight it is. It's determined by how comfortable you are and how it looks overall. So please try not to say, oh, I want my clothes to be tight. No, when it is firm on your body, then it looks good. That's the best way to do it. So for your hip, go this way, measure around. You can switch it up and down as well. Switch it up, make it come down. So now we settled on 40 inches, because I know that it can go up and down. By the time the clothes breathes on you, it's able to go up and down. So I know that 40 inches is okay. Now don't make it too free, because just because it's moving up and down doesn't mean you now add too much or too much allowance to it. Okay, as long as it's able to quickly pass through the hip like this, then you are good to go. The moment it's able to pass up and down the hip, you are good to go. So don't try to add extra to it. So that's it for the width of, or should I say the width of the person, or around the person's body. So now let's measure the length along that line as well. So when we are measuring it, we start from the shoulder. First thing we measure is the bust point. Especially if you are doing corset, you measure the bust point. It's the apex of your breast, bust point or apex of your breast. So the highest point for her is 10.5 inches. This is the only point that you are allowed to use half inch and not round up, because you want to make it exact. Okay? So after this as well, you come and measure your under bust. Your under bust isn't here. Your under bust isn't here. You have to make sure it is rounded. It has to go right under the breast. Right under the breast, so that when you make your outfit, it's able to cut the breast properly. Okay? So after doing this, you now measure the half length. Now for the half length, it's usually 1 inch above the belly button. If you check before your belly button starts, your waist kind of cinches in, even a little bit. And so when you want to measure your half length, you go up by 1 inch after your belly button. So for her, half length is going to be 18 inches, because it's 1 inch above where our belly button starts from. That's 18 inches. So the next thing after this is the blouse length. The blouse length is measured directly under the fupa area. For some people it doesn't protrude, but for some people it does. Just try to measure the part that is above the rise of our jeans, above the waist of our jeans, or the pants that she has on. And so try to make sure that it's not too low, because you don't really want the OMM blouse to be too low. It's supposed to sit just directly above the hips. Okay, so for her, for this is 23 inches. Okay, now this is not necessary, but the next measurement is the hip point. It's not necessary, but you can also take it for yourself if you're trying to cross check, and that's just basically at this point, which, like I said, is unnecessary. So next thing now in the length is the knee length. I think that's very self-explanatory. Just take the measurement, and please, when you are taking your measurement, try not to take it this way. It has to cut across the bust area, okay, so that you can measure it out fully. If you measure it this way, you're not taking into account the curve of the breast. Okay, so next thing is the knee length, and after that we have the 3/4 length. Now the 3/4 length is directly underneath the calf. Our ankle, our lower part, the lower part of our leg has a curve here. This is the calf, and this is the curve after it. Kind of slings, towards the ankle area. So directly after the calf is where you can start measuring your 3/4 length, and this is usually for midi or maxi skirts or maxi gowns as well. And so the final thing after that is the gown length. The gown length. And for that, you just measure it straight to the sole of the feet, straight down to the sole of the feet, straight down to the sole. So I hope I've been able to explain to you how to take your measurement.